What is self-obviously evident is that significance exists here since it implies something to us. We are in good company in the universe. This is the most grounded radio signal we have experienced at any point. Moreover, it has a limited data transmission, covering a restricted scope of frequencies, much like those of fake signals. This very unusual radio transmission has been made sense of by various speculations, including outsiders, clandestine covert agent satellites, and inconsistent natural events. Some recognized an incoming comet that nobody was aware of as the wellspring of the cryptic radio transmission from space. However, comets can't produce radio waves like this confusing signal in a legitimate way. This could be a three-body issue for us. Is this an intrusion warning or just an outsider attempt to communicate with us? What are the possibilities that extraterrestrial life exists? Join us as we explore how NASA has received a baffling signal from space that rehashes at regular intervals. Since we have recognized the monstrosity of the universe, we have intuited that life must exist somewhere either in our world or on some world far away. If there are billions of worlds in the universe and billions of stars in each world, and a small fraction of those stars have planets like Earth, then there must be hundreds, if not thousands, of extraterrestrial civilizations out there. Do you concur? Science depended exclusively on thinking for quite a while. The first planets found by space experts beyond our solar system were identified in 1995. Since then, nearly 300 of these planets beyond our planetary group have been discovered. From that point forward, planets smaller than Earth are beginning to arise, but the majority are enormous hot ones, like Jupiter. However, the Fermi paradox, which scientists refer to as a dampener, should be considered. This mystery, first verbalized by atomic physicist Enrico Fermi in 1950, poses the following questions. If extraterrestrials are so common, why haven't they visited? Why haven't they communicated with us? Or finally, why haven't they left behind some evidence of their existence, like heat or light or some other electromagnetic signal? The frequency of outsider life might be lower than previously thought. Perhaps advanced civilizations that stem from extraterrestrial life aren't very predominant. Astrophysicists should be able to put a number on those probabilities. If only there was an equation that could take into account all the significant elements of extraterrestrial life. Shockingly, that is right. Radiocosmologist Frank Drake proposed an equation that works out the number of possible intelligent civilizations in our universe in 1961. This assisted with organizing the first serious meeting on SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The equation has generated a lot of mix, largely due to the way that it produces such wildly varying results. Still, it's the most reliable method we have for assessing the number of outsiders attempting to reach us. It is pretty challenging to determine the probability that life exists beyond Earth. There is movement everywhere in the universe. Celestial bodies are born, mature, and ultimately lapse. It is possible for planets to support the formation of stars. Not everyone does. The ideal conditions for life to exist are present only on a few of those planets. Each aspect of life presents its own unique challenges. Proteins and nucleic acids are examples of complex organic molecules that may be the only living things supported by some planets. Simple single-celled organisms might be able to survive on different worlds. Others might be able to support complex life forms, including those with the technology to communicate with other planets or even beyond. Ultimately, not even the most adaptable creatures can endure everyday hardship. All lineages, whether they end in a disastrous breakdown or not, have an end, as the Roman Empire and the dinosaurs show us here on Earth. After crunching the numbers, Drake came up with the likelihood that the Milky Way is home to 10,000 different civilizations. Carl Sagan, a pioneer in the SETI movement until his death in 1996, was even more generous when he suggested that 1 million civilizations could exist in the universe. That is a lot of extraterrestrials. The hopefulness of astronomers during the 1960s, when they began their determined mission for outsider life, was understandable. Scientists from SETI embarked on a quest to find extraterrestrial intelligence. Later, while assessing the number of potential civilizations in our galaxy, two primary options were available to them: communicating face-to-face or over long distances. For the first option to work, either aliens or humans would need to travel to the opposite side of the universe. Given the vast distances between our solar system and other Milky Way stars, this appeared incredibly improbable. Radio transmissions, which involve the transmission and reception of electromagnetic signals through space, were part of the second scenario. A 210-byte message was intentionally conveyed from Puerto Rico's Arecibo Observatory to the globular star cluster M13 in 1974 by cosmologists who hoped to signal a civilization there. Information like the molecular structure of DNA and the atomic numbers of significant elements were included in the message, which conveyed essential data about ourselves and our position in the universe. However, there hasn't been much of this kind of proactive exchange. The majority of astronomers' communication strategies are based on passive listening for signals sent by extraterrestrial civilizations. For these types of listening tests, a radio telescope is ideal, as it can capture energy waves that are too lengthy for optical telescopes to detect. Radio astronomy involves orienting a large radio dish toward a nearby star that resembles the Sun and tuning its frequency to zero and on the microwave part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Due to its lower noise floor, the microwave frequency band, which ranges from 1000 to 3000 MHz, is ideal for this application. Moreover, it has an emission line at 1420 MHz, which scientists have identified as a whisper that reverberates throughout the galaxy. Neutral hydrogen undergoes energy changes along this narrow line. The hydrogen line is an excellent identifier since all advanced civilizations should be aware of it as a fundamental component of the universe. Since 1960, various international teams have been systematically studying the Milky Way and other galaxies for celestial signals. Some intriguing and strange signals, including the WOW signal, have been received by our telescopes. In 1973, the Ohio State University Radio Observatory, known as Big Ear, began scanning the sky for the faintest hints of extraterrestrial transmissions, blips in the stunning quiet of space. On an August night in 1977, the first surprising signal they received wasn't a whine but a roar. The data produced by the telescope was not new to Jerry R. Emin, a professor from Ohio State who volunteered that summer with the Big Ear program. An office supply of computer printouts generated by the telescope's central server would be delivered to Emin by a bicycle courier every 2 or 3 days. The burdensome task assigned to Emin was to sift through the dreary information looking for anomalies, whatever might be recognized from the pervasive low-volume foundation commotion while evaluating information. From 3 days earlier, on August 18, 1977, Emin found something very startling. As opposed to the normal succession of 1s, 2s, and 4s, a consistent stream of letters and numbers showed up, showing a radio transmission that was multiple times stronger than the surrounding commotion in space. Emin, being the educator that he was, took out a red marker and enthusiastically looked over the word WOW, close to the secretive grouping. Later, this time, the purported WOW signal is the nearest experience that people have ever had with extraterrestrial intelligence. Albeit the Sirius radio wave burst just endured 72 seconds, numerous amateur ufologists and stargazers attribute its strange properties to a shuttle. For what reason does it appear to many cosmologists as a communication from another planet? The hydrogen line is involved. The WOW signal of 1420.4 MHz was recorded, which is almost indistinguishable from the electromagnetic frequency of hydrogen. The researchers at SETI reached the resolution that if an extraterrestrial sign were to pick one frequency to send a message over vast spans, it would be that one. A second defining component of the WOW signal is its shape. Radio transmission shapes portray the presence of the signal when plotted against time. When the WOW signal was first identified by the Big Ear telescope, it enrolled as a 6 on the telescope's tumult scale. A couple of moments later, it leaped to an 8. The computer could report single digits, so when a number surpassed 9, it changed to letters. The signal crested at you, what could be compared to the number 30, then it gradually diminished back to 5. Plotting the signal on a diagram, you get an almost even pyramid shape. For what reason does the signal shape matter? Since it matches the shape one would anticipate from a deep space source. Sharpness is another fascinating aspect of the WOW signal. Stars and worlds, the most common natural radio wave sources, typically create radio waves throughout a wide frequency range. On the other hand, the WOW signal was so narrow that it must have been made by an artificial transmitter, either by humans or extraterrestrials. Finding the precise location of the signal completes the image, a region of the sky near the constellation Sagittarius, which highlights the cosmic center. Broadcasting your message toward the universe's densest bunch of stars would be an undeniable choice for an extraterrestrial civilization attempting to contact another sentient species. Since nobody has figured out how to recreate the WOW signal, the most convincing argument against its extraterrestrial origins is that it is difficult to explain. There are numerous possible natural explanations for the WOW signal. It could have been an impression of an earthbound radio transmission skipping off a piece of space trash, or it might have been a transmission from a mysterious military satellite, or perhaps it was just an error in the Big Ear's computer system. Another argument against the WOW signal's extraterrestrial origins is its short duration. If an extraterrestrial civilization were trying to get our attention, how could they communicate a message that lasted only 72 seconds and was rarely repeated? Additionally, up for discussion is how strong the WOW signal is. For a strong message to travel such a vast distance and reach Earth, it likely started from an extraterrestrial culture. According to some specialists, not even a Type II civilization would be able to harness enough power to meet this requirement, as indicated by the Kardashev scale. As far as the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is concerned, the WOW signal is among the most astounding mysteries. Hence, we return to the Fermi paradox: if the Milky Way is home to many civilizations, why haven't we found any of them? Space experts have become increasingly cautious since Drake and Sagan's estimations, using the Drake equation. Paul Horowitz, who valiantly asserted the existence of extraterrestrial life, has produced more moderate results, suggesting that the number of civilizations, n, may be closer to just 1,000. That number could be excessively high. While evaluating L, the length of time a civilization remains detectable, Michael Shermer, publisher of Skeptic magazine, stated in 2002 that astronomers weren't being thorough enough. Shermer calculated a number for L, ranging from 304.5 to 420.69. The chances of receiving a message from an extraterrestrial civilization are much smaller. After over 40 years of listening to the vast wireless transmissions, not a single result has been acquired, which troubles even the most vigorous SETI adherents. Still, the vast majority of these quests have only incorporated our own universe. There are countless galaxies, even if each only has 3 or 4 intelligent beings. Furthermore, now there's a massive object that has been beaming radio waves toward Earth every 22 minutes for over 30 years, leaving researchers confused. This object is believed to be a dying star that is producing energy from its poles, however, it's spinning too slowly to exist. This object stands out because of its particularly slow speed and astonishingly consistent behavior. It has been officially named GPM J183910. Hurley Walker stated that while cosmologists do expect to see repeating radio transmissions in space, they often come on and off at significantly quicker intervals. Stars can eventually cool down to become neutron stars, which are extremely dense celestial bodies that, according to NASA, can fit billions of tons of material into tiny spaces. From their magnetic poles, some neutron stars emit powerful beams of light and energy, akin to the light from a beacon shining to a boat offshore. We only receive the signal when the beam sweeps across our planet. The initial researchers noted these blips on Earth and mistakenly believed they were messages from extraterrestrial creatures due to their regularity. They didn't realize it at the time, but now they know they are the cosmic breaths of a dying star. Searchers speculate that pulsating neutron stars will gradually decrease in speed until they reach a theoretical limit known as a death line. Beyond this limit, the stars will ultimately implode due to their lacking mass. It is ordinarily trusted that this limit is crossed when the beats become slower and more scattered than a couple of moments. Furthermore, the group found that the beats radiating from GPM J183910 occurred like clockwork, and these could endure as long as 5 minutes each. Challenging all assumptions, this wasn't the first time a slow object like this one had been identified. Another slow object, enduring as long as a minute per heartbeat, has been seen before by the same group, beating at regular intervals or so. A magnetar, a neutron star with incredibly strong magnetic fields, was conjectured as the source of the pulses by the researchers. However, GPM J183910 had an extra surprise that opposed current scientific understanding. Hurley Walker stated that the team found the true shock of GPM J183910 while scrutinizing documents. This object's heartbeats had gone unnoticed by observatories around the world for quite a long time, radiating predictably every 13,185 seconds, plus or minus a tenth of a millisecond. This conflicts with what we know about neutron stars, which are expected to vanish in months. For instance, the 2018 article just reported on one briefly between January and March 2018. The primary record of GPM J183910 heartbeats traces back to 1988, about 36 years ago. If so, this object might represent a totally novel class of stellar system, probably one of the most peculiar and extreme things in the universe. For example, neutron stars and magnetars provide a challenge as far as our knowledge is concerned. This unprecedented object is quite surprising, no matter what the mechanism at work is. Simultaneously, a prominent figure in the SETI development has stated that people should be prepared to adapt to extraterrestrials and their artificial intelligence. Our capacity to develop sophisticated artificial intelligence and distributed computing advancements, as well as our penchant for sending robots to explore unfamiliar regions, forms the basis of Seth Shostak's argument, a senior space expert at the SETI Institute. How could an extraterrestrial civilization not be able to replicate our success? It becomes complicated when it comes to communication. Simply attempting to convey our thoughts to extraterrestrials is a daunting task. What trust does an extraterrestrial machine have, after all, in an alien intelligence, whether organic or artificial? Our signals would appear to be based on immutable mathematical laws, yet to most of us, they would seem entirely erratic. Processing has advanced to accommodate specific irregular communication protocols. For example, the way data is divided into pieces and bytes, how one byte has 8 bits, and a kilobyte contains 1024 bytes, are results of this development. While imagining sending simple good tidings and instructions to extraterrestrial probes via radiating beats seems straightforward, how can we be sure these machines would grasp our Earth-driven principles? According to Shostak, it is feasible for an extraterrestrial machine to imitate human language perception. They might explore it for interesting patterns, identify recurring elements, and derive that it's a signal from an intelligent source. Indeed, he argues that instead of signals indicating our understanding of mathematical laws, attempting to send vast amounts of information is a more efficient means for extraterrestrials to comprehend our language. Extraterrestrial machines, when given large volumes of data, could absorb a significant amount of information and connect them to specific images. Aside from the obvious limitations of our laser reach and radio transmission, there are a limited number of potential targets. However, if extraterrestrial spacecraft were to come into contact with our probes, due to radiation and wear and tear, our devices would surely fail in a few hundred years, making it highly unlikely that the two can interact effectively. Moreover, the chance of an extraterrestrial spacecraft quickly discovering our probes is low. Shostak contends that this does not preclude the possibility that extraterrestrials could acquire valuable knowledge from their examination of our technology. Even though extraterrestrials are highly unlikely to recognize the Voyager or Pioneer spacecraft, they would be more interested in the technology we have on board than in the plaques that currently adorn them. In other words, extraterrestrials will likely be able to appreciate our communication conventions if we are consistent and provide them with enough information. The sum of effort and time that extraterrestrial machines and their operators put into their methods will likely depend on their needs and the programming requirements of their machines. However, it's possible that they will recognize that they have established initial contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence.